I have two scriptures that I want to read with you. The first scripture from John is the 8th chapter, the 28th verse. Then Jesus said unto them, When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things. And thus is John 8, the 28th verse. John 8, 31st verse through the 32nd verse. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And thus is the scripture reading of John 8th chapter, the 31st through the 32nd verse. Again, I say to you, good morning and blessings to you. I want to go back to that first scripture of John, the 28th verse. When ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself. The question that is asked, and what we have to come to know, is when Jesus spoke about lifting up the Son of Man, what was he referring to? What is this Son of Man that Jesus was referring to? And for a lot of people, they think and have come to believe that the Son of Man is the man Jesus. But Jesus was not speaking of himself. If you notice in that scripture, he said, when ye have lifted up the Son of Man, when you have lifted up the Son of Man. What is the Son of Man that has to be lifted up? The Son of Man that has to be lifted up is your humanness. It's that consciousness of you thinking, acting, and being a human being. When you have lifted up your humanness into that spiritual understanding, that spiritual light, that spiritual consciousness, then Jesus said, you will know that I am he. You will know, because you will be in that spiritual state of consciousness as he was, as he is. Paul said, now let me just not get ahead of myself. What must we do to lift up the Son of Man? What must we do to lift up our humanness? We have to let go of this worldly consciousness, these worldly thoughts. First and foremost, I am a physical body. As long as we dwell in that consciousness that we are just merely physical bodies or human beings, we cannot come to know the Christ consciousness that is within us. Our humanness and the things that we gravitate to, the things that we allow to dominate our consciousness, the things that keeps us grounded to the consciousness of the earth plane, is what keeps us from being able to obtain that spiritual consciousness awareness that is within us. Paul said, I die daily. And what Paul meant was all of his humanness, he had to die daily or let go of. It's the letting go of our negative way of thinking. It's the letting go of the things that we are so attached to, the things that we have come to know that are non-productive. And not only is it the material things that we have to basically let go of, that doesn't mean get rid of the material things, but let them not take control and dominate our thoughts and our lives. We also, as we grow on the spiritual path, you will find that there are things that appear to be not only things, but people that appear to be so precious and so dear to us that we don't want to separate or let go. Now, when you recall the story of Jesus leaving home when he was 12 years old, and his parents, when they missed him, they went about seeking to find him. And when they found him in the temples with the elders, and I guess the mother said, well, you know, come, you have to come on with us, you know, you have to come back to the family. And Jesus said, I am about my Father's business. So the mother and the father, I can imagine, did not want to let go. But Jesus, in his state of enlightenment, let go of his parents. The most important thing in his life was serving God. The most important thing in his life was serving God. There's another scripture where the story talks about Jesus speaking to the multitudes, where his disciples came and said unto him, your mother and your brother is without and wish to speak with you. And Jesus answered to his disciples and said, who is my mother and my brother? He who does the work of my Father is my mother and my brother. In other words, he was saying those that are on the same level of consciousness and awareness as his spiritual family. Now, I'm going to touch something that's very sensitive when it comes to the parents. We bring children into the world, and the hardest thing for us to do is to let them go. The hardest thing for us to do is to let our children grow. But just like I would say the birds, they outgrow the nest. They have to go out and make their own way. But we are not willing to let them go. We are not willing to let them find their way. And we do all that we can to hold on. And sometimes holding on or trying to hold on to our children can be very painful. You know, the children leave home and they go out and get in relationships, We as parents, we always trying to tell them after they've grown and left home how to live. We want to tell them who they should be involved with. We try to pick their friends. All of these things we have to do while they're still in our household. And if we're on that spiritual path with some understanding of spirituality and God, you know that God takes care of his children. Sometimes we as parents can stand in the way of our children's growth and unfoldment. So we have to let go. And on this spiritual path, what we have to understand is that when the Spirit calls you, the Spirit calls you alone. It doesn't call your mother, your father, your husband, your wife, or your children. It calls you alone. Now, if your children or your significant other wants to walk this path with you, it's a blessing. But you can't force. You can't grab someone by the hand and pull them. A lot of times people say, or they put their spiritual growth and progression on hold because they're waiting for someone else to make up their mind. And waiting on someone else to make up their mind can cause you to lose your place in the kingdom. We can't wait on other folks. We have to be willing and able to let go. We have to be able and willing to let go of those things that are past, the old habits, the old way of thinking. We have to let go of the negative thinking, the gossip, condemnation. All of those things keeps us chained and in bondage to the things of the world. We have to let go. We have to let go. The most important thing in life upon this path, your number one priority should always be God. I want to go back to this second verse, John 8:31 and 32. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed, and I always said that belief is the first rung of the ladder. To me, the spiritual path, there are three levels: belief, faith, and then you get to that level of knowing. Then Jesus said to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples, following the truth, the teachings. Jesus goes on to say, ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. You ask yourself, what is this truth? What is this truth that we have to know that will make us free? As we journey through life, we learn a lot of things. We learn a lot of facts. We learn a lot of hypotheticals. Jesus said, You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And as I said, what is this truth that will set us free? This truth that will set us free is the truth of knowing the very essence of our being. It's not about who you are, because the who you are deals with the externals. It deals with the physical body and the things that are related and attached to the physical side of life. The truth that we have to know is what we are. We are spiritual beings. We are divine spiritual beings, created in the image and likeness of God. That's what we are. And this is the truth that we have to know. And when we come into that consciousness, that understanding, that awareness of what we are, then all things are open to us. We will be able to see, to know, to understand, as the master teacher said. When you let go, when you lift up the Son of Man, then you shall know that I am He. We have all come into that Christ consciousness or that Christ understanding, and we now can represent, we can now see and understanding that which was manifesting in the man Jesus. Let us understand and know that the Christ consciousness was not only in the man Jesus, but that Christ consciousness has revealed itself in many souls after Jesus. One of the greatest demonstrations of Jesus and many that followed after him was willing to sacrifice or to die for what one believed in. That is the point or the place in consciousness where we have to get in lifting up the Son of Man. We are willing to let go of those things that are non-productive, those people that in a sense represents a distortion or a distraction to what it is that we must do in this lifetime. We can continue to bless them, we can continue to love them, that is what we must do. But we cannot, we should not allow the things that have kept us earthbound, shackled, and in bondage, holding on to the things that are keeping us from growing and progressing. When you lift up the Son of Man, which is our humanness, into that consciousness or that higher state of consciousness, we come to a point in consciousness where we start to realize and know within us that we are more than the human body, that we are more than what we see in the mirror. And as we lift up the Son of Man within us, we will start to see the demonstrations and the manifestation of this divine spirit working in us and through us. It's not about what we want. It's not about what we need. It's about what we already have. And we're looking outside of ourselves for something that we think that we need or for something that we want when we already have it within us. When we lift up the Son of Man, our humanness, we will come to know that everything has already been provided. God did not bring us into this plane of expression and not equipped us with all that we need. It is only our lack of understanding and not willing to do the work that needs to be done to work on lifting up this Son of Man that the Master Jesus talked about. And so I also want to say that when you lift up the Son of Man and come to know that Jesus is He, and that this physical body of Jesus, as He said, I do nothing of myself. We have a tendency to think that everything that we have accomplished, everything that we have, we've done it on our own terms. That is so far from the truth. And then we start to thinking and trying to, impress. This is mine. I've worked for this, I blah, blah, blah. No, it is because of the Father. It is because of that consciousness, that God consciousness, that spirit within us that we have what we have, that we are where we are. That God consciousness within us is that sustaining life force that makes it possible for us to have what we have. And so as we continue this path of spiritual growth and unfoldment, how do I lift up the Son of Man? How do I tune myself to the spirit within me? I will say this. One affirmation that I will share with you. God is, I am. God is, I am. And the I am in you is the source. It's the spirit. It's the powerhouse of God in you. And whatever you attach to I am is what you will start to demonstrate at the physical level. There is no need to want. There is no need to say that I need. But what one must do is say, I am that I am. Jesus taught, one of the things that He said was, when you pray, believe that you have already received. Didn't say anything about praying and continue to believe that you need and you want. He said, believe that you have already received it, and you shall have it. The beauty of life, and there are many, but this one I wrapped very tightly around my heart. And I've said it so many times. The world can take away everything that I have, but the world cannot take away this God in me. And as long as I am in tune, cannot be separated from the God in me, There is nothing that the world can do to me. And whatever the world thinks that it can take away from me, God will replace 1,000 times over. What is there to worry about? What is there to fear? Lift up the Son of Man. Lift up your humanness. Let go of the fear, the frustration. Let go of the doubt. Let go of the limitation. Because in this spirit that you are, in this consciousness that you are, there are no limits. God in you cannot be limited unless you allow it to be. The abundance of life that is within you, there is no place on all the earth that can hold all the abundance that God can pour in you and through you. No place on earth. And some of us can look around in our homes and see that our closets and everything is running over. We got more than we need. And it just doesn't stop. It keeps right on coming. Sometimes we have to fight to keep from going to the shopping malls because they got a discount, 50% off, buy one and get one free. And we say, I got to take advantage of this because it might not come around again. And we've gone to the malls and we're filling up the closets and we got clothes and tags on them that's been there for years. I'm a living witness to it. You go look in the closet and say, oh, where did this come from? That's been back there a couple of years. It must be brand new. Yes, they are, because you haven't had them on. Then you got to figure out you got to give away some stuff. And then when you start to give away, you make a little room so now you say, I got some empty space, I got to fill this up. When is the next sale coming? I go out and be shopping sometimes, and I see a pair of pants or something that I want. I say, oh, I don't have that color. I got to get that. Then when I get home, I find out I got 2, 3 colors of the same thing. But what am I going to do now? But when you attune yourself to this God consciousness in you, it's like a water faucet. You open it up, and the blessings just keeps on coming. God doesn't know anything about when you got enough. The nature of God is to give, 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 give. And you don't have to want. But God's blessings just keeps right on flowing. Even when you sleep, the blessings of God is flowing into your life. We have to lift up the Son of Man, lift up our humanness into that consciousness of oneness with the God of Spirit that is within us. And as I say, when you ask yourself, how do I lift up? Be vigilant of the things that you're thinking. Let all of your thoughts be positive, constructive. Stay away from the gossip. Stay away from the gossip. And if you can't say something good about somebody, don't say anything at all. There's a saying by Paramahansa Yogananda that I've found over the years that have been so helpful to me. read a little, meditate more, and think of God all the time. You see, Paul said, pray without ceasing. When you're thinking of God all the time, you are still praying. And the more you can keep your mind stayed on God, the more it brings about transformation in body, mind, and soul. We want to be transformed. We want to be changed. We want to lift up this humanness that has caused us so much suffering and pain. May the Spirit of God, the Christ consciousness in you, come forth and bless you from this day forward, for now and forevermore. God bless you and thank you.